a subject called Down syndrome, which cannot be shown on screen because it's so difficult to show what the feelings of parents are or what the child is undergoing on a screen. But we try to do this so that we can make the next generation people a little more, get into the subject and understand what Down syndrome is. It isn't like all the other challenges. It's completely different. You're dealing with an array of challenges with a little child who, from the minute they are born till the last day, they come with a package of either medical or other issues, but very easy to handle if you understand the subject. I hope both of us, all of us, can easily interact, and I want to leave this open as an interactive session. Please ask me questions, and we will be sharing our PowerPoint with you so that you can watch it at any point of time. But when you're looking at a PowerPoint, you normally don't hear. So I want to be clear that I'm trying to, speak to you so that I can get my message across to you, because this is about people. It's not statistics. It's not costing. It's not something that I can put it on a screen. If all of you are okay with it, I'll start and then we can bring in some of the slides for you to understand better. Is that okay? Yeah, perfect. I think only one thumb went up, but then I take it as an okay from everyone. So the important thing here is that oh my God, such beautiful women. Now that you've opened up your video screens, I think you'll make the best people to deal with children with challenges. So this is a subject that keeps me absolutely motivated, and there's nothing else in my brain but Down syndrome. Okay, so it's like I've got a one focused mind, and what is important is that when I discuss with you about the success of the infants, the toddlers in school, and the adults who believe in themselves. So it's not about what you believe, it's about them. So, and my life has been linked with thousands and thousands of people with Down syndrome over the last 40 years. So I've been in the field for 42 years, ever since my little one was born. But studying of the chromosomes is such a challenging issue, because we tend to look at, which I will show you the slides, about why parents go through this horrible feeling of, why me? What did I do? Why me? And that question of why me is not answerable. How does anyone give them an answer for the pain that they're going through? So tomorrow when you meet a child or a baby or an infant and the parents are asking you these questions, you will also be in the same dilemma that we are in. So we normally, yes, sometimes I've said God chose you, and that makes them even more angry than they were. Because why was I the chosen one? Why couldn't it be somebody else? I mean, they have questions for everything. And parents today, they question you more than you can even answer. So going through this, I only tell them one thing: time will be the healer. You will learn to live with this, because this child will bring you so much happiness that maybe the neurotypical child might never have given you. Yes, but it takes time to learn about it. Like if I look back in 42 years, I never questioned, because it was like there was no Google, there was no phones, there was nothing for us to even ask the neighbor or the doctors what is happening. So we took them as children. So yes, Brinda, can I have the first slide? So I want to show you that if you look at this particular slide, you will ask yourself, they're all children. So I'm looking at all these little ones, and would you be able to identify who's different? So can we have a full screen, Brinda, please? So Brinda is the one who actually looks after me. I assume that you all understand that everybody needs a partner in life, and Brinda is my partner. So this, you keep looking at this slide and you'll say, oh, can I see who's different here? Yes, there will be. Maybe you can sometimes find out, but some of them are neurotypical. I'd like to blend them because I think children are children. Don't you agree with me? I mean, we look at a child, and if I hadn't told the parent that the child has got Down syndrome, would they ever know? Would they ever know? I mean, if you hadn't told me that Bubbly was different or that she had issues, My son walked in and he said, "Mom, she looks like a little tomato. She looks like a takali. She's so beautiful." And there is a beauty in every child. But when the doctor walks in and says, "No, they will have all of these features," then you start looking. So it's like, I think our brains work like that, where once you feed it, it starts thinking, maybe there is a difference. Maybe the child is not normal. Maybe there's going to be a huge medical issues. But I tell you one thing, if our doctors, which I'll come to, were a little more patient, were a little more, understanding of whom they're dealing with, they would do it in a very different way, which we do. We never talk about the child. We talk about the parent. We only look at the parent and build up their strength, because the baby is always going to go. It's going to prosper. It's going to be the best thing in the world. But if you reduce the brain of the parent by telling them, then the challenges become 10 times worse. So the next slide. So I started in 1984. Bubbly was hardly 3 years old. 1981, Bubbly was born. Brinda, can you move the slide, please? So, Brinda, are you there? Brinda, I can see you there. Yeah. So 1984, we started working with parents, because I was dealing with my own issues, but I suddenly realized that when you have a child with any type of a challenge, it's always nicer to build a community. And in my time, and let me take you back in history, nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody. People would shut the door when I came and stood there. They would say, "Please, you leave because you're trying to interfere." Or they would say, "No, you go, they will give you another address, but don't come here." So I actually worked with the hospitals, and I walked into the government hospitals, and I would look at children and try to, there were nothing to learn from. There were no books. So imagine if you didn't have me talking to you, how would you learn about Down syndrome? So today you are lucky. You have a wealth of information which can actually confuse you guys. It can really confuse you. So this is what we did. We started to assist only the parents and the caregivers and understand the subject, because I myself was learning and I did not know what this meant. It was a big challenge for me. And yes, it was difficult to deal with. So my primary goal as a student, I started as a student thinking if every parent gave me a little bit of a feedback, I would be able to assimilate all this information and increase my knowledge. God had been very, very good to me, that he gave me the thirst and that hunger and the desire to understand my own little baby, and through her, zillions of children. Everybody walked into my family. Today, I have 6,400 people with Down syndrome in India, and I work with Nepal, Middle East. I travel everywhere trying to, educate people, because one thing, remember, when you talk to a parent and you say, we can help you, they'll say, how do you know what pain we are going through? Am I right? Because only when you are cut, only when you have a child like that, can you feel that pain. It's like having cancer. It's like saying, okay, it's all right if you have it, but they'll say you haven't undergone that. So you have to be very clear how you're going to answer this, because if you're not in it and you're talking as an outsider, you will be challenged. And so people used to say, okay, let's work together. And then we suddenly found out there were some genetic people, doctors, who would come into it, and they told us, yes, this child is the most common type of a disability, which I don't like to use that word. We call them people with empowerment, because they actually empower us. And over a period of time, we found out that instead of the usual, all of us, I'll take you a little bit into the medical thing, and then we'll move into their characteristics. But they are supposed to have, we all have 46 chromosomes. Are you aware of that? So you have 23 pairs, one from the father, one from the mother. Now, with a person with Down syndrome, there will be 47. Now, this extra chromosome is the root cause for everything that happens in this little one's body. The body, the mind, the physical characteristics all comes with the extra 21st chromosome. So we have 23 pairs. So the 21st chromosome is the one that we zoom into and try to find out what exactly the parameters. Because if I talk about genetics and DNA and I talk about alleles, it's a lot of medical information which you might not have to divulge because you will always be sending them to the genetic counselor. Am I right? You will definitely not be dealing with the medical background. You need a referral, you need a doctor who will definitely be able to advise you. In India, we have 1 in 700 to 800 births with Down syndrome. Don't write down anything. This entire PowerPoint will come to you. There are also going to be literally 29 to 30,000 people being born every year. So if I think I've done a good job by meeting 6,000 people, I'm not even covered that much. So there's so many children that are there in the rural areas. We have just done a little bit. So what we did was we looked at Tamil Nadu first because I was here in Chennai and I got hold of the parents. A few of them were ready to talk, not many, but we started, sharing information. These are the little ones that I capture at birth, and at 6 months, we're so excited that they are doing a little bit of their physical changes will be coming in. They will also be knowing, like any other baby. But of course, the physical milestones take a little longer. So what we normally do is what we call start at birth. Why do we start at birth? Very simple. It's got to be the strength of the mother and father, the entire family who supports the parents to keep this child healthy. See, in India, we have what we call family counseling. We don't do parent counseling. Because when you see a parent walking in, you'll normally see the mamiyar, mamanar, you'll see all the other people out there, everybody. And I insist on everybody coming in. So if you're ever going to deal with families, please ask them to bring the whole family. Because here, like in every other country, you tend to blame the woman. So you always say, maybe it was that you were cursed, that's your karma, it happened in my family too. But I want this to happen in front of everyone, where when they say things like this, I always tell them, let's be a little careful. You're hurting an individual and you're hurting the primary caregiver is hurt. The child will never grow. So I need this child to be absolutely happy. Have you seen a child stressed out because the mother is stressed out? You look at your own families. If your mother and father are unhappy, immediately we clam up. So the same thing happens. Our children are very knowing. They're so sensitive to atmosphere. So I build up the initial courage of the mother. In fact, I do counseling for the mother for literally 6 months. In some cases, I am holding hands till 20 years because acceptance, like I always say, you can change everything in your life. How can you change your child? This is something that is a part of me, and I waited so long to have a little baby that, will be like everybody is telling me that the child will not grow beautifully, it will not do everything else. So that fear comes in. So here is where we walk in, you as caregivers, you as counselors, you as therapists, as social workers, just remove all that fear. I'm here, I'll hold your hand, is all that you have to say. And that really makes so much difference when I know that somebody else cares about my feelings. So listen to her crying, listen to her, because see, the child will grow anyhow. I'm telling you today, if I get the medical records perfect, child is perfect. So it's always the parents that we have to. So I'm just telling you the tips that you guys have to look for when you are looking at parents and you're looking at a whole range of families where, distant family members come in and they're looking at the baby, how it is in India. 1,000 people will come to see your child. So we tell everybody, perfect. Yes, the child has been blessed with an extra. They won't understand extra chromosome. So we always say the child is blessed. It's my child. If you are a happy and a proud person, people also understand. But if you are going to be shaky, that's where you come in, you build up that strength. And so Bubbly was the driving force in my life. And everything I have learned in my life, she has challenged me. She's taken me through everything. So these are the this is my daughter, Bubbly, who was raised by Rasa. I must tell you that. So if Bubbly is what she is today, most of it came from Ambika, and I was just the observer while people were giving her all the strength and the motivation. And I think just like us, when we are talking, if I tell you that you will be the best teachers, you feel you want to learn. So I think Ambika built that up in Bubbly, and Purna was growing along with Bubbly. So also I have to tell you that so many families depend on us. And I'm sure you'll also have that in your life, that many, many families will come to you, and it isn't easy. The number of children we have with Down syndrome, is the magnitude of the problem is huge, huge. So all those who started have now gone up to 40 years. I had a birthday party day before yesterday where one of my the girls who grew up with me completed 80 years. So gone are the days when people told you that they will die very young. So when Bubbly was born, every day, listen, don't look at the slides, because I don't look at slides. I don't know how to read the slides, okay? So it's okay for you to look at the slides later, but I talk from the top of my mind. I do not have these slides as distractions except for the pictures. One thing you must realize is that every child, regardless of whether it is a child with Down syndrome or otherwise, they come with their own characters. They come with their own potential. So if you are going to put all of them into one bracket and say, no, they cannot grow, they will never go, they will never do this, they will never do it. But if your parents had told you, can you imagine that fear in your brain every time you make that rasam? Oh my God, our hands start getting shaky, you know. So build up confidence, not fear. So as an observer, as a social worker, your job is to build up the mother's thing and tell her, just talk to the child, be very, very patient with the child. It's very difficult because the parents lose it. At some point of time, they say, come and say, Rekha, you're saying so many things. It's like I'm getting bogged down and I don't know whether I'm doing justice to my child. So that's when we as supporters, we are only supporting them. And that's what I want you to do. In fact, let me take you back in time, which is still continuing. Many doctors, pediatricians, they used very strong words against our children. Like when Bubbly was born, every day I would hear this. It's a waste of time. What you're doing is waste because she's not going to do anything. So when I heard all these 40 years ago, it sort of made me think, are these guys for real? If this child is here, she's my child, how do you say that to me? And then I realized that if there was a person who was slightly weaker than me, can you imagine what that person would go through? They would have completely lost it. Am I right? So they would have suddenly decided, okay, it's not right. It'll never happen. My child will never do anything. But I have watched them grow with me, laugh with me, have become the best artists, the best actors, the best musicians, in every which way, the best dancers. There's nothing they cannot do if you are their supporters. But do not decry the brain, because the brain is very active. It's wanting information. I always tell the parents that you're only feeding, thinking that the child needs to eat. What about the brain? How much are you feeding the brain of a little baby? So you've got to be singing songs and they come back at 10 years, 11 years. Actually, Bubbly spoke her first word when she was 11. But it didn't make a difference to us because there was monosyllabic conversation. She would just point. And so we understood what she wanted. So it never made a difference to me. I knew someday she would talk, except everybody kept on pointing out, oh, she's not talking, she's not talking. It's 3 years, it's 4 years, it's 5 years. So you build up this fear inside a parent. But I'm saying they are still talking. When a baby cries, that's the first expression of language. So I asked them, is your baby crying? Fantastic. That's language. So look at that and say, okay, she must be crying for a reason, whether it's for food, it's pain, it's hunger, whatever it is, anger. So look at all the expressions a baby brings and emotes which can be converted into a whole series of language. So we are all very confused people by thinking, I have to speak. We speak because we are social birds. They speak less, but they say much more. So if you watch them through their eyes, you will see the expressions changing so fast. Like I can see Bubbly. She look at me, which means, are you happy? So she's more interested in my being happy than her being happy. And all our children, I think whether you have children or neurotypical children, they only want the parents to be happy. So when we complete a task, you first show a painting to your mother and say, Ma, good. So that's the way you are. We are built, it's inborn in us. So every child is the same. So yes, but there are many families that go through despair. Reason is, please keep your brains open. This is absolutely very important in India. They are also having financial stress. So financial stress is something we cannot relieve very quickly. But then we can tell them, we won't charge you for our services. So we walk in, we make them feel comfortable. And to my credit, I have never taken 1 rupee from any parent. I don't think a crying mother in front of me looks at me and says, after the whole thing, I said, if you smile, I've been rewarded. I don't want anything from you but your smile, because it takes a long time for the tears to dry up. Because like I say, you can change your job, you can change your houses, you can change cities, you can even change your husbands. Not many people like me saying that, but that's the truth. But you cannot change your little baby. What do I do? It is mine. I own this little one. So it's like an ownership, a responsibility, which as a mother, today a lot of fathers are also into it. But I tell you, the women in India have taken, and also I think there's a lot of stress because they're working. Many people work. In my time, it was a little easier, but we tried to. I have a lot of case histories, which like in 2003, a mother walked into my clinic and she was from Jharkhand. So let me tell you that I've completed India. Okay. I've walked into every state in India and we have tied up, because remember one thing, India is a place of different languages, culture, food. So you can't give one fits all. So there's no one size all. No way. It has to change for the state. And I don't speak so many languages. So you can't really actually sit with a parent and talk in English many times. So what we do is we have created groups, parent support groups in every state in India. So we link them with those support groups and say, please contact so-and-so. They will definitely help you with the language. And the doctors' lists are all made out so that they can definitely go. So when this lady came to me from Jharkhand, she said, the doctor told me, go to the nearest orphanage, leave your child and come back. Because this child has got a major heart issue. Don't waste your money. It's a dead investment. Look at the language. Now, if children were an investment, I really think doctors also need a rethink on talking. I would like to ask him how much he invested in his own children. So we don't, abuse the doctors, but I have had fights right through my life. Because right or wrong, it's language, appropriate language at the appropriate situation. Don't let us down by telling us things we don't want to hear. So this Malika, who I also met another parent who was, they told her, the pediatrician told her only one thing, go home, have more children. Forget about this one. Is that a solution you would give a parent? So I'm trying to get hold of the doctors, and I talk at every pediatric conference, trying to tell them that you're dealing with a child and a parent who's already breaking down. So, and what happens is we lose time. Can you imagine this negative language? By the time I get it out of their system, how much time is lost? So, is there anything you want to ask me about counseling and parental advice? Because now we're going into the nitty-gritties of the children.
See, I have one question, ma'am. How do we recognize they are scared, or how do we teach them that it is not the right thing to do? And how do we tell them this is the right thing? How do they differentiate the whole thing for them?
So Lata, you're talking about the raising of the child?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any book that says you're a perfect mother?
No. No, I don't think I'm one.
He asked me
So,
this question, how do I become so good? I said, you are a mother. And there's nothing that a mother will do to either discourage her child or, let down her child, or a mother hurts very easily when anybody talks about her child, negatively. But
that's true.
there is no mother who is wrong. So when they come to me, they'll say, am I doing the right thing? I said, you tell me whether you're happy. See, happiness is very relative. Now, if my child even puts up a finger and says, I have pain, I'll be the happiest person. And that's what I asked the doctors when Bubbly was born. Will she ever be able to understand pain? Nothing else. For me, nothing mattered. Because if a child is in pain, how do I know she's in pain? So how do I reach out? How do I help her? So they said, we don't know, because there was no statistics. So I realized only one thing. Today, I actually prick the children. I prick them on the shoulders, I prick them on the hands to see whether they are reacting. Because sensory is low, because I'll come to it. There's a severe issue of hypertonia. And you asked me a very relevant question. I never tell a mother she's wrong. We tell them, you're doing it like this, go along. Can we make a little changes? Can we do a little bit, a little differently? It might help you, it might help the child, but we are not here to experiment on your child. I don't know what's right for you. I don't know what you can do in this situation, but whatever you tell me is perfect. Lata, let me tell you, the mother just wants to know she's right.
That's exactly my point. See, when I take my child out with a problem, the way the society looks at her and how she reacts matters to me. I don't care about the society, but the way she reacts to their approach will hurt her somewhere. So she should be aware that she cannot, I want to be very clear to her that these things don't matter. You're my best kid. You're the best for me. So how do I make her understand that? That is my point.
Building confidence. It's a bit like Bubbly. I built her confidence. Okay. Every time we would make her be a stage performer, right from the time she was 2, 3, 4, 5. You are the best, Bubbly. There is nothing stopping you from anything. Okay. So whether she took the wrong step or she was dancing, her Aramandi was completely confused, Ambika would say, perfect, Bubbly. This is the way it is. You do it your way. My point is, how are we to stop people? Suppose it's a writing. You don't have one writing that fits everyone. Okay, you can keep on saying, do cursor writing, do this, do. I have a handwriting which only I understand. So I only believe that I tell the parent, as long as you are happy, I'm happy. And you asked me a very relevant question. When we take them in public and people are looking, you know what Bubbly told me once? The Bubbly can't see at all. She said, Mom, I can sense them looking at me. I think because I'm the most beautiful woman in the world.
Wow, that's the confidence. Yeah. That's
so
beautiful.
She built I have been built up by Bubbly. So I am a parent who has actually got my confidence from Bubbly. Otherwise, I would have lost the battle long ago with a number of multiple issues that Bubbly has had. She will always say, like today when I told her I'm going for a meeting, she said, God bless you, best of luck. See, you have to understand that your child is only you. See, the characteristics are only us. The way she talks, the way she behaves, the way she emotes, everything is me. She's watched me from the time day one. So when you are holding your baby, you're actually, when you're nursing them, you're passing confidence. A crying mother will always have a weaker, the sucking itself, you'll know. When the child is sucking like that, you know the child is feeling my pain. So I always tell the parents, hold my hand, let's cry it out. But when you hold the baby, make it so positive and so beautiful. See that the child is happy. My mama's happy. My mother knows that I am the most beautiful thing in the world. So I teach them from day one how I can build up their confidence initially, and then you build up that child's confidence. It's a two-way street. And honestly, people will look anyhow. Even if you have a a small squint, they'll be talking about it. I mean, literally, I feel the society has nothing else to do. Comparisons. Why is my child this? That comparisons will go on. I am a person who has reached a stage, or even from the beginning, I felt if Bubbly makes her first step, says her first word, whenever she does, I have won the reward. I am now a woman who has achieved, Mount Everest I would have climbed. Literally every time in my life, it was like, come on, Bubbly, you did it. We are so happy for each other. And there would be a celebration and they love parties. Okay, they're party animals, balloons, and she loved that. So it was like we did it the way she wanted it. It's not my doing it, it's her doing it. Like today, it's one of my nephew's birthday. We've already got the cake, the balloons for her to take there and celebrate because they are party people. They love people. And we have always denied them that by thinking, oh, they will say this. They don't, people will say somehow or the other, okay? Even if they look at you, they'll say, oh my God, she looks like this, she looks like. Let's leave people as they are. There's a beautiful song, they say, kuch to log kahenge in Hindi. I listen to that and I think to myself, nothing else. They have nothing else to do. Even if I don't drink, they'll call me a drunkard. So it's fantastic. So I live that life and I enjoy it. Okay. So when the doctors did not give me any Yeah, ma. Yeah. Please.
Sorry to interrupt.
Perfect, Renuka. I like interruptions.
The very first level of the counseling with the caregiver, we have to build in the confidence, not the fear, you said. But the first track itself, to bring them to our level, how is it that you're going to break the news that our child is a special child and we have to follow certain thing? How is it possible it's not, I don't think it is possible in the first meeting, but at least avala track kondu varadhukku as a counselor or as a social worker, what is my first step to do? I know that first step we have to listen to them, but still I find some part where it is very, very difficult for me to bring them that, yes, I'm there, I'm holding you. So can you just throw some clarity? How can I bring them to the track?
You can't bring anybody on any track. This is not a track. 1 minute. See, like when people ask me, what is it that you would advise us to do? I would say that you learn to listen.
Yes.
You just said that yourself. My point is, even today, after 40 years, I sit down. When they are crying, I cry with them.
Exactly.
I don't say anything to them because they might not even know that I have a child with Down syndrome. Of course, they might read about it, but I normally just watch and learn. From facial expressions, you will know where is their weak point. Exactly. See, if you are a well-versed person on people's feelings, you will never say anything. There's no track, Renuka. There's no track. The person is already off track. Even if it is 20 years, I can't get on that. Even today, Renuka, when I go for a wedding, in my deepest heart, there is pain.
Yes.
When I hear that melam going on and the tying of the tali, I think I did injustice to my child. See, that pain will never go away. Never. But I learned to deal with my own pain because I don't want her to feel my pain.
Exactly.
So you have to understand that the parent is only one issue that you're dealing with. So we cannot drive that pain away. You cannot do anything. You can build their relationships. And that happens over a period of time. You don't make friends with anybody overnight. Exactly. You have to be there, I go into the families. I go sit with them on the floor and say, oh my God, you made such lovely, you made whatever it is. So we're taking their mind away from, I become part of the family. As a counselor, I am not an outsider. So whatever they are eating, I'll sit with them and eat. And they love it because you are now becoming my friend. Yes. So how you do it is not by, like, intruding can also happen. They might think, why are they coming to my house? Everybody, the neighbors will know. So I always tell them, we don't need to do all that. I am coming, I'll bring a gift, we'll sit and I want to see you because you've had a baby. So let's both have a little talk. We don't talk about the baby at all. I have traveled from here to Faridabad to Kolkata. Overnight, I have gone just to be with the families. So the whole family will come and sit around me. The whole night we talk. We'll just sit down and eat a roti. And then slowly I understand the background of the family. Then I talk to each individual in the family. See, it is not this particular person should not be alone.
True.
And I don't want the family making comments. So how do I do it? Like my mother-in-law said only one thing to me. Karma. Okay. And she's sitting next to me when my daughter is going through surgery. I just looked at her and said, Amma, all of us are in that karmic account. You, your son, I didn't have a baby by myself.
Correct.
Your son is totally involved in the whole process. So
True.
if you're going to talk, let's think before we make a comment. So she said, correct, but keep quiet. So unless you have built up my strength, which I'm lucky that I am a very strong person, and I don't like these snide remarks. And I told her only one thing. You have positive feedback for me, or you have positive feelings for me. You want my child to get better, because there is no thing that is right. Her feelings are hers. So I only say that it's your grandchild. So let's work together. So I brought my whole family together. And honestly, it was such a supportive family. Today, I can travel anywhere in the world. Bubbly is looked after by a zillion people. Remember one thing, caregiving doesn't happen overnight. I have to build that. And if people always say, oh, nobody helps me, why? You have isolated yourself. Don't. Caregiving comes from love and affection that you give everyone. So I brought my whole family into it. Sit down, have parties. My point is, you want to cry? That's only a period of time. And she should be able to relate with you, because you, in your eyes itself, that feeling of, like, it's not sympathy. It's the word we use is, I care. I care that you're in pain. And when they cry, we just sit down and hold their hands. Whether they're crying in Gujarati, I don't know half the languages. From here, you're passing energy. So I reach out my hands like this, and I take their hands in my hands, and we look at each other and say, we love you. I don't need to say anything else. So there is one person who knows what I'm feeling. So yes, it's a very difficult situation if you are not into that primary caregiver situation. So very difficult to tell a parent, it'll become okay. It's going to become okay. That's a lie. It's a lifetime thing. I mean, every day we're sitting on a time bomb. And when I come to the health, it is only my war with doctors from day one. So if you look at these children, you will always see certain facial features, the slant of the eyes, the basic things which the doctors always identify. So I always say, don't tell them. See, if nobody had told me, I'll just carry my baby and go around it and all that. But I check for any medical complications. In the eyes, mook, naak, all rubbish. The child will only resemble you. I'm telling you today, yes, there are certain features which might be what I need to know, because when I'm swallowing, the food canal will be thinner, then the ears will be low set. So all these I check. And what you should do is to refer to people like us who have already gone through that phase. So we can sit down and talk to them on a one-on-one, and then we mention your name, saying she's a lovely person. Go to her. She will explain everything in your own place. We do reference. And we have already got a list of social workers who are more calm, and, they've got no other things like their children in the 10th and 12th. This 10th and 12th exam for the regular parents is like a manic thing. They are going through more agony than we as parents of Down syndrome. So I think our journey is very, very simple. And the 10th and 12th pass and the NEET exam, the parent is hanging from the ceiling. So I think we are very, very comfortable. But we normally do not, we have absolutely balanced caregivers. okay, who are not these jumpy types, who will, no, we don't want you. Because when we take class, we analyze. We find out who are the people who are. Generally, the parents are very, very easy. They want people. They want people to say, even if the child has got 100, like a squint, anything. Like I have children who have just had their surgeries and they don't have a gut. So the colostomy has to be done. We have to cut the colon and connect it to the side of the body where what do you call it? The bathroom is, the toilet is, excreta is collected. So when you look at this child with this tube and these things, many people back off. For me, you just tell the parent, such a beautiful child. Parents want to hear one word. My child is so beautiful. Child, from the slums or anywhere, you hug the child, the parent says, okay, I can make connection. So yes, many of my children are born, at least 75% are born with heart defects. So we are reference, the pediatrician immediately will make all this. Then we bring in the cardiologist, we bring in the endocrinologist. The endocrinology is one of the major areas. So when you look at a baby with Down syndrome, you will find them hypertonic. So you hold up bubbly like this, she'll collapse. They can't be, their bodies don't have the muscle control. It's called hypertonia. So you can check it out. These are small words. We'll give you all of it. But I've given you a lot of medical information for you to read up for your reference. But what is important about hypertonia is that they will be hypothyroid. When I do the thyroid test. With Bubbly, we did the thyroid test when she was 18. So all those years, she was going through constipation, trying to hold her muscles together, and the facial muscles are the most important muscles. I never knew that the maximum number of muscles are on my face. To speak, I need to use all of this. So we were trying to, you talk. I have not trained the muscles. So, and the palate is very high. The nasal bridge is flat or non-existent. So what happens is breathing is a problem. So all of these we rectify. Do we have a picture of a person with Down syndrome, Brinda? How many of you have actually seen a child with Down syndrome?
1 second, ma'am. I'll just share.
Huh? All of you? Okay. And have you worked closely?
Not much. We have seen. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We worked with them, not with.
Yeah. So these are all. See, these are the facial features. And if you look at this, Bubbly is here in the red. So Bubbly was born with multiple issues. She had a cataract at birth. We had to rectify that, which meant 2 years of eye surgery. Then she developed glaucoma. Then she developed iridectomy. She was floppy, literally floppy. I can't tell you floppy means like literally like jelly. Okay. So I didn't know. There were no therapists. There was no one to advise us. So okay, Bubbly is floppy. She's floppy. If they want to rectify it overnight. Then the other important thing was, yes, speech was a big delay because again, the orofacial muscles. She was constantly constipated. It was like she was taking enema every day. And she had respiratory infections. Literally, her lungs could not expand because of the hypertonia. So breathing was an issue. And we never realized that they had severe milk allergy. Most children with Down syndrome are allergic to cow's milk. So, we never knew lactose intolerance, gluten intolerance. We didn't know anything. So today we can identify if the child is having constant respiratory infections, then we normally take them and we remove certain things in the diet to see whether we can, adjust the respiratory organs. And because I don't want them to get onto too many antibiotics. It's become like a common thing, get into hospital, antibiotics. So the child's natural immunity, we have to build up. So we do a lot of yoga, we do a lot of, planning on running around, physical exercises, and we have trainers for everything so that we are keeping this child away from the hospitals. Because hospital pona, then that's another infection. So yes, Bubbly was definitely she had pneumonia 3 times, and the doctors would just tell me, take her home, she's going to die tomorrow. So my point is, hope was something we never got. It was the easiest thing because they didn't know how to deal with it. Let me put it that way. So leave her in the house, she'll die. Now, either you tell me that you can help me, or you keep quiet.
Right.
In fact, the next thing that you would do, X-ray edukradhuke, steel plate in the winter, actually it was cold that December night, they put her on a steel plate. I said, if she's not dead, she's going to die. And that's the first time at 11 months, I saw a tear in her eye. So I realized how much she must be feeling the insult of a person treating her as flesh. That's the only time, my friends, I slapped the radiologist. Because you rise. A mother's only thing is to protect her child. And for a third person, they won't feel it. But I was there with that radiologist, and the expression on his face was, oh, she's already dead. I said, leave her. So 6 weeks, let me tell you that the brain works fantastically. All of you have to understand this. Tell your parents this, that the brain is the strongest feature of a person with Down syndrome. People have told us they can't think. They don't know. I swear on God, I told her stories of the Ramayana, Mahabharata when she was in coma. And those 6 weeks, what she learned, Bhakta Prahalada ka de fulla chulva. So every bit of her was built up during that comatic phase. So you got to understand that they don't go that easily. No, they are fighters to the last minute of their lives. And that fighting spirit is what we live on. Because we are watching them. We can feel the pain. But I know that she's telling me only one thing, Ma, I'm not going. I'm not going anywhere. And I told that, and she stood on stage once and told the doctors, it was at a neurological conference because they were drugging our children. She stood up and said, please stop giving us medicine. We are healers. And I have done this research where we found out that they are a different soul altogether. This doesn't happen in every family. It doesn't come into every family, but they are our protectors. Why am I sitting here and talking to you? How do I know so much about the subject? It's because Bubbly went through it. And at every phase, I met people who would either discourage, encourage, or tell me, I don't know. So we meet the right people in our lives and we learn to pick up your own partners. And fantastic. Bubbly was fantastic. I mean, in every which way, I think she set an example to the world. So it is what you are. And this was when she was at the World Conference, she was dancing. She danced all over. She took Ambika with her because she wanted Ambika only. She literally, Ambika and she were inseparable, and dance was a part of their bloodline. But it comes only with very few people. I think the parents also must be totally involved in this. And it's a lot of teamwork. So, and Bubbly loved it. She loved Ambika's voice. See, understand that our children pick up the right people. They draw them. If the teacher thinks that she is the benefactor, she is learning 10 times more from this soul. And I really believe in it. Bubbly gives off all her energy to the person who's looking after her. So you are actually very, very lucky if you're ever looking after a child with Down syndrome, because that soul doesn't come everywhere. They are literally, I'm telling you, unconditional. If you talk to them nicely, they'll fall in love with you. They don't know a face, they don't know, they only know a voice. And that voice connection is like, I love her. And within 2 minutes, they'll come back running to you and say, I love you. And you'll find it very, very thing because you never thought of it like that. So it's a two-way street, but bubbly also the other very important thing of adult management, which is very, very, very difficult. It's easy to manage the little children because we have early intervention, therapies, and we can do medical management. What do you do when you have a person who asks you primary questions like Bubbly asked me when she was 18, when am I getting married? Can any of you answer this question?
We'll be in shock.
You're in shock.
How to handle the situation.
Yeah. So 1 second. Yeah, Arjun.
When do I have to get to the?
You can leave now in 5 minutes.
When do I have to leave the body party here?
He'll find out. He'll go inside and ask. Okay? I'll pick you up. Don't worry. Good. Sorry, you have grandchildren who are with me just now, and they have to. Okay. So, can any of you think of what you would tell a parent if the child is asking for marriage?
Maybe we can educate them on the facts that what is the difference between the actual thing and the special child.
For the parent. The parent is not asking. The person with Down syndrome is asking me, why am I not being married?
Slowly,
My daughter at 18 asked me only one thing. And you know, about 25 years ago, the family system was very different. They thought they will abuse, they will take the girl away, or they will they're coming for money. More questions were only the rise in your brains, and we were joint family systems. So today I totally disagree. I say let them have a companion. 40 years down the line, if a companionship, if they don't like to be in that companionship, because we are looking at sexually a relationship, which I don't look at, because for them, they just want somebody to sit next to and feel the closeness. And it's a beautiful relationship that I have created with a large family now. It's called Hamsafar. We have 6,500 people where the boys and girls can talk to each other. They WhatsApp each other. They are always on call. My God, they're discussing so many issues. And it's like, okay, I made a friend and this is my friend. So it's beautiful. You need a friend. And there's nothing that I've told the parents now that stop this thing that, they can't, boys, girls. Stop. They're asking us. So when Bubbly asked me this 25 years ago, I had no answer, but I told her, Bubbly, there's a hierarchy. So one, as your elder cousin sister gets married, adukapro. And then we took her to alternative therapies. Like we put her into music and spiritual thing and Sai Baba bhajans, but that thing was still there in her mind. And I suddenly found Bubbly going away. She went into severe depression. I lost Bubbly completely. 6 months, she just cried and cried and cried. A totally capable human being who disappears from your life and hates you the most because you're not giving me what I want. You said I was like everybody else. You created that I am not different. Now you're saying I'm different. So the onus falls on the primary caregiver. So how do I answer these zillions of questions? And whenever I went to the psychiatrist, they would say, oh, Down syndrome, go home. No answer to my questions. So I traveled the world and they said, no, unless there's medication, but if you give the medication, you have to monitor it. So like every day there will be changes, physical changes, mental illness is the most difficult thing to deal with people with challenges. It is so difficult to see a perfectly performing person slip away. And I don't know why she's crying. She stopped eating, she stopped sleeping, she stopped relating, and nothing would excite her. So the primary caregiver I have found becomes helpless. And if the doctors do not help us, then we are lost. This is when I went back to the university at 55 and did my PhD because I needed to study and understand my child. But I lost 3 years. 3 years. And in those 3 years, it was the worst phase of Bubbly's life. But I went back to the doctors, made them sit at my viva, and I said, just now, jolly well start giving her the medicines. And we monitored the medicines, and today we brought back Bubbly. She is back to where she was. And a child who people said would never, never be alive the next day is 42, healthy, active. Yes, she's still on antidepressants. She's bipolar, she's schizophrenic, and she hallucinates. So multiple issues, multiple medicines. We have 24-hour caregiving, and we are constantly monitoring changes in her body. So Bubbly has sleep apnea, which comes as they grow older. So when you talk about sleep, it's a very big issue. But all these are the medical issues, which we have to have the right contacts, ENTs. We need eye specialists because vision and hearing are a big issue with our children. Why don't they speak? Maybe they can't hear you properly. So there might be a muffled sound in the ear. So on the card, I have not heard your words. So what will I speak? So every year, the checkup is thyroid, vision, and hearing. This is something that you must definitely keep on records. And your record is only these three. If they come with the other things like mental illness, this, that, and all, make a list. And say, what was it yesterday? What is it? Because people, see, they don't maintain diaries. I have a diary which says, Bubbly is scared of the dark. Bubbly cannot sleep with the light in the dark. She can't take chili. She can't swallow food. She's gluten allergy. She has lactose intolerance. Yella or book report which so that the next caregiver has everything on record. Now, if you walk into a house, you want to know, what are all the issues this child has? See, they have so many sensory issues. Like if you don't like, spongy things or touching a lizard or a snake, how do you react? So sometimes when they even touch ordinary things like a glass with cold water, they will withdraw. So we don't know we have to make a note. As a parent, your first advice to them is keep a book. Keep a book with records, keep a book explaining to them, very important, because otherwise I as a caregiver won't know what to do, right? So all these are the major issues. And yes, marriage, companionship is easier than marriage, because marriage, is an institution we have created. And when we have conferences, you should see them, because I keep them all overnight in my room, and you should see them touching each other. They just want to hold hands, go for a movie, WhatsApping. So there are lots of, because your metabolism is the primary. See, girl who goes through her periods can be trained beautifully. Boys, girls masturbate. Common, perfect. We have taught the parents, give them space, make them, give them that little bit of privacy. Don't say that this is a sin anymore. I mean, please. Bubbly had a room for herself. We had to knock on the door. They like that privacy. I mean, they are also adults. They are also human beings. The problem is we have clubbed them. Even these children are children who have mental retardation, was a word that was constantly used. For me to change mental retardation to mental handicap to being children with challenges to now being called intellectually challenged, which itself I'm trying to change. Because when you say retarded, that word itself is like an abuse. So yes, any questions now, girls? Any questions? Silence. So I really don't know where else I can lead you on, except that I think you have to have the right groups with you, which is reference. A baby should have early intervention, which means I check how much physical development we need to do so that they cross their milestones. This is very, very crucial. So once they are at the age of, say, about 1 year, 1.5 years, we have what is called the Readiness for School program. So we get them initiated into that with a teacher who, like a classroom atmosphere, set Panetu, they sit down and they listen. And we have to learn about their sitting tolerance. See, many children for years were being put together with children with autism, because we have a habit of grouping our people. Special schools, especially, if you go inside, you'll see all multiple disciplinary people with difficulties. I don't like that because our children are the best imitators. They will look at somebody and copy like that. So copying bad behavior is very easy. Copying right behavior, aping right behavior is very difficult. When the parents come and say they're spitting, I say, check the neighbor. Check if somebody else in the house is spitting, because they think it's a funny thing. Anything they do is copied or for attention. Two things. So any behavior will have, there's no word called bad behavior. I don't believe in it. It's always imitative behavior or behavior that can be channelized. If the child is bored, invariably the child will do the wrong thing, throwing things, getting attention. So you have to understand why, because the mother is always on the phone. And the anjanimshu that you have to spend with the child, make sure they're doing something, make them feel comforted. So when a child is crying and they're going on calling you, can you imagine how annoying for the child when the mother is not looking? So that's when they do all the things they should not be doing. So advise them that please, there's a time for screen and screen time. Girls, you've got to push a point here, because screen time has made 90% of my children go into a space which is their own. So a perfectly healthy child can go into an autistic state where they don't relate with anybody. They're just looking at you because they've only been looking at the screen. In the phone, kaila kuduthruvaanga. Have you noticed?
Yes.
And they'll say, okay, it's okay to watch the screen. It's not okay. There has to be a discipline. And I only say one thing: discipline starts at home. If you are not a parent who is disciplined, how do you expect your child to be disciplined? You eat whenever you want to, you come in whenever you want to, you throw your shoes where you want to. No. I am very strict on certain things, which I believe is a discipline that I want, good behavior, and you get rewards for good behavior. The other very important subject that you guys might come across is toilet training. So that's another huge issue which people have made it into a huge issue. In the end time, we'll sing songs, the child will go to the bathroom. But Bubbly was constipated, severely constipated. But we managed even that. We never made issues out of anything, because I'm a cool, calm. I'm absolutely like cucumber. If it happens, it happens. So you have to understand that a parent and child relationship is like mirror imaging. So what the mother is doing, the child is watching. And immediately it transfers. So let's all get together. And yes, today inclusive schooling is huge. Inclusive, though we call it inclusive, I'm sorry, it is still integrated with a shadow teacher. And integration happens with actually the child does not even understand what's happening, because the curriculums have not been changed to suit our children. So yes, sometimes homeschooling can benefit the child. You can have 2 days of regular schooling with 3 days of special education at home, or in a private, a comfortable atmosphere with 5 children with Down syndrome, where the teacher can concentrate and build up the confidence of the child and put them back. What we do is we send them to schools. Every school accepts our child. But when there's a fallout, they refer them back to us. And then we have special educators who do a 3-month course with them. And wherever they are falling back in their studies, we bring them back. So it's a two-way. We have to work with the special educators, with physical trainers, and physically, I feel our children need to be into a lot of exercises, and they can play every sport today, every sport. So we encourage a lot of sports, and we have national events for Down syndrome. Last year, we had more than 400 people in Hyderabad, where we had every event. We have different events for them. We don't do any jumping, because another thing is the first and second vertebra is weak. So that's another area we have to keep looking at. But I think by and large, our children are very, very strong. If they don't have any multiple issues, then we are able to streamline them into regular mainstream schooling, and they're living much, much longer. So yes, ma'am.
Yeah, when they are put in the groups or else schools, yes, they are coping up with the thing. But once they are back to their home, as a parent, how can they develop the what to say and the independency and the skills? Ipa in Rasala pathingana, yes, we have different variations of children, and they are working with the what to say craft work, needle work, or whatever embroidery. Everything is being done, even in painting. But இதே பசங்க அவங்க வீட்டுக்கு போனா, how as a parent will they be able to develop the skills in them, or else the independency of the work? How do they இப்போ இந்த கடகடன் தண்ணிய குடி, இப்ப இங்க நாங்க வந்து யாரும் இது பண்ணல, அவனோட வாட்டர் பாட்டில் அவனே எடுத்துக்கிறான், அவனே எல்லாம் பண்றான். we are giving them the space to come and grow with the self help. பட் இது ஒரு இடத்துல வீட்டுல பண்ணுவாங்களா? ஏன்னா அவங்க என்ன நினைப்பாங்க, நீ ரொம்ப ஸ்லோவா சாப்பிடுற, I need to finish up other work. Will that relate to the parents' pressure on the child?
You answer the question yourself.
I answered.
Of course, pressure. See, a parent is like a machine. They're working against time and they are feeling the pressure of everything. And don't forget the age. Okay? So, and we don't know what health issue a parent has. So as your caregiver, you must discuss this with them.
Okay.
So you're looking at the self-advocate or the individual with the disability. You are not looking at the entire holistic approach, which is for me the most important. Either the person is absolutely cool and calm. உங்ககிட்ட பண்ண முடியும், ஆனா வீட்டுல பண்ண முடியாது. But I won't do it because I am angry. There is this built-up frustration. அவ என்ன சொல்றது? I'll eat slowly. I'll do it at my time. You are not building up. I tell you, I had a child, a person with Down syndrome at 18 who could not clean himself. You know why? The mother is still going into the bathroom and cleaning him.
That phase was not...
Why? The mother has already destroyed my brain.
Correct.
Understand this. Are you married? Renuka, you married?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
25 years long.
Your husband is watching television. You watch him in India and Pakistan are playing, and he's watching that. And you call him at that time, his senses don't work. 1 minute. And the time when you've spoiled him by telling him, you're a beautiful person, I'm bringing everything, I'm giving it to you. Now, what you have done with the person with any type of disability is distort the brain. Okay. The mother is constantly feeding and saying, So the mother, we are to blame the parents who don't let the child leave your hand. You tell them to do it. Okay, they don't clean very well. Evening, and the men have to be looked after. After 15, we hand over the entire thing to the father. I will not allow the mother to do it. It is not right. Because the father has to take certain responsibilities. The person with Down syndrome goes to the father very readily. But he doesn't have the time. And see, my point is, from the time they're little, we are asking the girls to have a bath with the mother, the boys to have a bath with the father, so that they suddenly don't see pubic hair, underarm hair, and the bayam varadu. They've seen the mother change their pads, getting periods. Ella normal irukkum. And I did this with Bubbly without realizing it was having an impact on her. So she understood. The minute she got her periods, she was only 12. She took a calendar and started marking the dates. So, intelligence is there, but you have corrupted that brain. Okay. So, brain vandu corrupt pandrathu yaare?
So how can we educate the caregivers on these parameters?
Please call me, I will talk to them. Because it is very important to have a forceful voice. By saying, we don't want to be your caregivers, or we don't want to be looking after this child for the rest of my life. I don't want to.
Correct.
You're not there tomorrow. Remember, a parent is not permanent.
Exactly.
The person suffers so badly when the mother dies. You've left them helpless. You've done it on purpose. A perfectly performing person, why would you make them incapable? So tell them, we will not allow them. I don't allow them into my center. இன்னைக்கு அவனே குளிச்சானா, அவனே சாப்பிட்டானா, அவனே சாண்ட்விச் பண்ணானா, We want to see the result because
Correct.
நாளைக்கு நீ இல்ல.
கண்டிப்பா.
And they're not able to think of a time when they are not there. They think they're permanent. And the siblings are getting more and more angry.
Correct.
They are the next secondary prime givers, caregivers. They don't like it. They don't like it, that thing. Why should I be dependent? They're dependent. They're always asking us to do everything. Make your child so comfortable living alone. Give him a room. Keep your things neat and clean. This is your room. I don't want to check on what you're doing because like any adult, they don't like anybody checking on them.
Correct.
So you tell them, I'm giving you the freedom, but you must do your own things. This is yours. This is yours. See, the thing is habit. சின்னதிலிருந்து start பண்ணுங்க. If I can do it in the center, why they're doing in the center, they get a feedback. Correct? And they get you've done a good job today. வீட்லயும் அதே பண்ணுங்கல. Oh, you helped me clean the dishes today. Good job. So you'll get a star for this as children. As they grow older, we give you 10 more minutes of TV time. Or we go out for an ice cream. Things have to change as per the person. But if you keep on telling them, I am here permanently. Very easy, no ma. It's an attitude that comes into my brain that I am with them and I don't have to do anything. They don't let them bring the plates, wash their own plates, clean up the table. Habits. It comes. And why is yoga important? Puja important? But everything else is absolutely a practice, a discipline. So you make a note, stick it on the wall and say, tick off. Have you cleaned your room? Put off the lights in your room. Did you put off the lights in the bathroom? And I think the parents must be taught this because my experiences with parents is when they're only 40 or 45, they think it's perfectly okay. But when they're 70, as I am today, I find it difficult. So personal experiences, I keep telling them, you guys, as the teachers and as the gurus, put your foot down and say, stop.
Oh.
We're not taking any excuses. Underclothes. See, periods vanda and the underwear, avale wash pannuma vandama. You have not taught me all I do it. This is not that. No. Or you get disposable if you can afford it. But my point is, can you afford it? See, we make a list of things, affordable, not affordable. So we give the ideas to the parents who are in a different frame. See, in India, we have this large disparity.
Correct.
So the disparity, we work on individuals, and every child is an individual. They come, that's what I said, an open sentence. They come with the characteristics, they come with what the parent is. So if the parent is a confident parent, you'll have a confident person. You have a shaky parent, same thing happens. The child is shaky. It's not my fault. Right? But it's very easy to blame. So I'm very harsh when they grow up. Because if you don't put your foot down, you are failing. It's not their fault. I was not told. As a parent, I didn't realize that many people come and tell us, we are 70, what do we do now? You should have made him independent. They can live independent lives today, I'm telling you. They are so capable, it's unbelievable. And we don't have to have, no longer do we have to have fire cooking, India.
Correct.
You can easily get everything available like abroad. That's why it's easier abroad because they don't have necessarily or dosa or idli. Compulsory our brains are sambar or chutney. Illa, we can't eat that dosa and idli. Can we eat bread every day? Illa. So we need support, create a supportive staff who will come there, help the child once a day and go. And because food is a very primary concern in our lives. So all these we have learned. And like I keep on saying, please make sure you have checked medical issues, because if there is a medical issue, the child will slip down very quickly.
Correct.
Okay. So
Thank you, ma'am. It was really very.
please, can I have some more questions? Aarti, nothing to ask.
Actually, ma'am, I've never been in contact with any Down syndrome kid as such. But yeah, your inputs are so useful.
Another word we never
not-
use is Down syndrome kid. The reason is you have already branded them.
Yeah.
So we say person with Down syndrome. Okay? So they have a name and it's a person with Down syndrome. That's a very, very important thing. International platforms will not allow you to talk at all. So we always say, you know, Aarti with Down syndrome. We don't say Down syndrome Aarti.
Okay.
So we don't say Aarti, Aarti measles. We say measles, Bharti has measles. So then you just make the thing, change it a little bit. There's language, appropriate language is very important.
Yes.
So persons with Down syndrome, self-advocates is what we call them because they are actually demanding all their rights today. So yes, there's a lot. Yes, Radhika, any questions? I love the way you spell your name. There's an IE in between. Yeah, I'm sure this must be to do with numerology.
Nahi, not numerology, something called nemology, according to.
I'm not coming into your life now. Like this is another thing I need to study now.
But yeah, I totally agree. You know, with reference to changing the parents' mindset. By the way, I am right now in Sri Lanka. Just came back from South Africa, and I also come to Chennai, and that's how I came to TAHD because I was doing my multimodal expressive therapy at WCC. So when it comes to changing the parents' mindset, it is so important because if we can strengthen the mother, the father, and forget the others around, at least the mom and the dad to stand up for that child, that is it. Because the mom and dad just weaken so badly, and I have seen strong parents in the West. But in Asia, in South Asia, oh my God, the way the children are hidden, the way the children are not sent out, they're so ashamed. It is so terrible. And we need people like you, Dr. Rekha, to choose, walk everywhere to all these places and, tell the parents that just, amp it up, just straighten up, get stronger, because you have to be strong for the child. And also they think, they mollycoddle the child. Like, for example, in the place I'm staying, just at the back, there's another house. The parents are in their 70s, and the child is in the spectrum, ASD. And the child never was forced to go into mainstream school. And he flunked. He's 46 years old now.
Not a child anymore.
Yeah, not a child anymore. And he failed and failed and failed. The parents kept pushing and pushing because the parents were like, the father was like, how can I sire a child like this? And that kind of thing. So the child, like I told the mother, even now it's not too late. At least put them for some put the person for some kind of training, like to get some resources for life. If I can't say what if you all die, but of course we will all die at some point, but they're not thinking, they're not putting him for any kind of training, and the fellow is just mollycoddled. And it's really sad. Even the toilet training is not there. I mean, how is he going to survive? I don't know.
So which place are you, Radhika?
Right now, Colombo.
So if you can imagine, if Colombo is like that, what happens in the interiors? So I just finished a conference because I also represent the Asia Pacific. So I was with Sri Lankan family in Kathmandu last week. And he is a doctor, by the way. He himself is a pediatrician. And he had brought his son, who was about 7. And I asked him, just over the period of time, watching the child, he has severe nystagmus. So the vision must be very badly affected. So I said, what's the power of the glasses that he's wearing? He looks at me and says, I really don't know. I mean, this is your child. You should know every little detail about him. He can't speak for himself. So he said, no, I can go back. And then I was giving him a lot of marks because he was educating the other doctors. I said, what are you educating the other doctors when you know zilch about your own little baby? So, I think they come from a very, very, I mean, India today, we are very strong, honestly, because we are, at least the women shriek a lot. And we have started screaming for the last, let me say, when I started, 20 years it took me to scream from the rooftop for even a doctor to address it as a child with needs. And don't keep calling them, retarded or the other words. But, that was because I am a very fearful person and I would shut down their practice. And that's the only way you can do it. I shut down schools, I shut down hospitals. Because I write in the press and I'm very blatant about it. But you need an activist. You need somebody to hold up their thing. They don't understand. And in Sri Lanka, I told everybody, there are so many job opportunities. The plantations, like in India, what we do is if I go into Madurai, I find it's the easiest place to live is these little rural areas where they go, they cut the wood and they bring it. Because why do I work? I work for a meal. So then the families will call him in, they'll give him a lovely lunch. Then there'll be a bed outside. You go to sleep for 2 hours, then go back into the fields. See, this is not something that you can do because they are not desk people. You want to make them into some computer expert and bored. They can't stand boredom. They want challenging. They want people. And persons with Down syndrome are people's people. They want to be, sort of applauded. Oh, you're the best. You're so beautiful. Oh, so nice. This looks so nice when you look at the chain you're wearing. It's a small thing. But if you don't get that feedback, imagine for ourselves. You want to be told that I am good. And that, I think, comes from everybody. But if the parents themselves have lost it and they don't want to accept it, the sense of acceptance in India is much higher today. It took a long time. It took a long time. I honestly tell you, the first 10 years were miserable. Nobody forget about not talking. They won't open the door because, the reason? The sibling will not be married. So, oh my God, the sibling thing. I mean, the sibling can manage his life, man. And they'll only talk about the siblings. Oh, he gets a gold medalist. I said, Mr. Kannan, this little fellow standing in front of me, he's so intelligent. Can we talk about him? No, gold medal. Thinking to myself, what these people run behind these medals and these awards that the other children are getting, and the room will be full of awards, medals. I said, this guy needs a medal for standing here and hearing what you're saying. So honestly, and can you imagine what's going on in his mind? My parents don't even mention me. So they're not even treated as being there. So how do you, I mean, they're just living and revering the other fact that they have other people. But it took me a long time. And now we have connected it through, thank God we have all this. I can see all you guys, but I'm saying that getting into the backwaters of India is not easy. Because I love it. They don't even know the child has Down syndrome. Let me tell you that. Because the doctors themselves don't know. And the child just grows up beautiful. And they get married. They're actually rearing children. And it's so beautiful that she just does all the housework, but maybe slower than the others. We have complicated our lives. For thousands of years, persons with Down syndrome were being born. For thousands of years, there was, if I go into any family in Tamil Nadu, kunju slow. That's all. They went to school because there's the Gurukul system. I love those systems where in Muslims, they send them, to the local temple or the mosque. They will be educated. So you will be surprised what education really is. It's not a classroom. It's where I'm free. I count the number of trees, like Bubbly was educated like that. When she went to school, there was a huge thing. Oh, she's blind, she's this. I said, stop. See all the plus points. Her brain is working, she wants to hear you. You want to teach her? Teach her. If you don't want to, clamor. Don't talk about Bubbly, talk about yourselves. You are not equipped, shut up. So then they took it up as a challenge. And honestly, that school still talks about Bubbly. Because she brought in such a big change. Other children, I only stood on stage for 5 seconds and I said, there is an angel amongst you. Everybody's looking around. You know how 5-year-olds are? Where's the angel? And suddenly they looked at Bubbly and they said, oh, she must be the angel. And the next day, they were carrying her shoes, opening her box, giving her food, and they were looking after her and she loved it. She lapped it up because she didn't know which direction she could go because she's not able to see. And they would hold her. And you have to understand that people around us are frightened of us. So education of that particular fear and telling them they're not going to harm you. Because I tell you, for years they told me Bubbly will become aggressive. And that was because of the mental illness. And you know, when Bubbly had severe depression, they told me, that's the way people with Down syndrome, please lock her up in the asylum. So locking up was a very easy thing for these people. The word institutional care came from there. So why do people still ask, oh, I'm getting old, do we have an institution? First, I'll take out my chappal. Your child doesn't need an institution. They need people. So if you're just going to lock them up, forget it. We don't want. I've banned institutions. But still there are. Because they make money. They make money on us. So try to understand the concepts that came out. If they take 10 children, they're making money. They'll put up hundreds of organizations in Tamil Nadu. I have broken the system. It's not easy because to take a person who's functioning superbly and lock them up is so wrong, so wrong. And they can do so brilliantly. Of course, for years when I used to read the books initially, it said nuts and bolts, they'll separate. Oh my God, they have gone places. There's one of our self-advocates who's a vakil in the High Court. So he hands over the papers. It's question of your believing in them. You know, we just did this in Nepal, and we had about 12 of our people trained to go to the base Everest camp. And I think that was the best thing that we did, because for them to feel I am here, I can do the best thing. You know, we all want confidence. So when you break that confidence and say you're not capable, imagine yourself, such a low esteem. I could cry the whole day if you ever broke that. Yeah. Nice hearing from you, Radhika. I'll come to Colombo. I'm going to meet you.
Yes, please. And actually, to add to that, last year I actually sat for my exams, my RBT, the Registered Behavior Technician American exams. And then at that point, I worked in a special needs school in Colombo in a place called Dehival. They had just opened up. There was a little girl, 6 years old, Down syndrome, and her mother was a doctor. Parents had separated. Now this child, when she comes and she goes, when she leaves, she's good. The next day in the morning, she comes back, she's again a big mess. And then we found out the mother, who's a doctor, locks up the child in a bedroom alone, okay, and goes to work or comes back from work and, she said, I can't deal with this because I already have. What? You can't be a doctor if you can't deal with your own person who came out of your bloody womb, yeah? I was so shocked. It's disgusting, really.
It's frightening. It's frightening. Can you imagine what that little child is going through? Even so-called, when you punish children, don't you realize what you're doing to them? Why are we punishing anybody? Can you not understand that the word it's a punishment? Who are we to punish anyone? It's a classic example of your frustration and your anger on yourself. And there's so much insecurity in human beings that they take it out on the weaker ones. And this is where you empower them by telling them, we are here holding your hand. So stop getting, if you're going to go to work, then you should have already created the caregiver force. And you should have lots and lots of friends, family, people, but it's about me. If I shut my door, I've told everybody go out. I'm not ever going to be entertaining people. But it takes a lot to be able to create that community. And I think that's what I like to do, is create a large caregiving community, which is very, very important for the world. Very important for the world. Because parents sometimes, they get very frustrated. They want somebody to say, will you look after my child? I need to go out somewhere. I don't have anybody to look after my child. And we offer those services. It's called sharing care. So if you're going for a hysterectomy or it can happen, anything can happen. So you want 1 week off with your thing. We have already built up the relationship with the thing. That's why I built up this Hamsafar, where you can ring up anyone, will come pick up the child and go. So
One question, last question, Dr. Rekha.
you
Would
can ask
you,
100 questions.
your-
Don't worry about it.
for parents in Sri Lanka, do you have any kind of, support system via Zoom or something like that Hamsafar might be able to offer?
We have a lot of support groups in Sri Lanka.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow. Oh my God, I must email you.
Yeah, you must get your Brinda, can you please send all the links? We have a lot of people. Brinda
Yes,
is my
please.
right hand and my brain. So see, I'm getting older, so I need somebody who's younger and energetic like Brinda. So she'll send you
Wow.
all the contact numbers.
Yes, please, Brinda. Thank you so much, Doctor.
And we work with a lot of people, and we've been working in Sri Lanka for some time now, because we find attitudes are pathetic. Yeah. So, I mean, it took me 40 years to change attitudes in India. It'll take me another 40 years to change in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, true.
But I'm going to be there for a long time. Don't worry, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Anyone else?
Hi, Rekha.
Hi.
I have been listening through.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pooja had to go for a class. So I said, okay, I'll take over. And I've been listening through. So thanks a lot. Very nice of you
In
to
fact,
come.
when Purna called, I didn't know whether, because my grandsons are floating around on a Sunday here. So I said, I don't know whether I can take it. Shall I ask anybody else? And Brinda said, no one can do it like you. You keep quiet and go sit there.
That I agree 100%. That I agree 100%. Because ladies and I think one gentleman is there, I think, in the group. You can't get anyone better than her to share her thoughts in this world. So I think, you've been very, very lucky. And if anyone needs a part 2, then let us know. And I will, sort of request her slowly that we need a part 2. Okay, just let
I'm
me know.
always there for you, Ambika. You call and I'll be standing there.
Yeah.
I salute some
And,
people.
and let me tell you that if Rekha has been very blessed to have Bubbly has been very blessed to have Rekha as a mom. So I needed to say that too, because she's been talking always from the other direction. So I think I should talk from this direction too. So thanks a lot. I think, is there anybody else who needs any information from her, or what do you feel?
It was a very
Do
insightful.
express anything. Sometimes what happens is the thoughts may not crop up as we are discussing, on the spot, but when we reflect, there'll be 100 questions that come, because the areas that have been covered by Dr. Rekha today are very wide, very large, and there will be doubts that will crop up. So either we do a part 2, or the alternative is that you put down your doubts. Okay, you put down all your doubts. When you reflect, there will be things that come up. This is I'm assuring you that there will be things that come up, because this is just one very small. All said and done, although she's covered it very in as large a manner as possible in this 1.5 hours, it is still the area is still so large that there will be thoughts that come up. There will be things to ask, and I can be your voice too when I present it to her, because her experience is her experience. What God has made her do, God has made her do, and it's from whether it is going into the interiors of smaller places in India, or going abroad and the neighboring countries, or even other countries. The experiences that she has got are huge, and dealing with each one has been a learning experience for her, and a learning experience for those who have interacted with her as well. So what is everyone okay with that, coming up with reflecting and sort of if you can probably see or in our pattern, Rekha, if they attend the class, they don't write a report. Okay, if they don't attend the class, they look at the recording and write a report. So this particular class, I feel, if it's okay with everyone who's attending, all the trainees, can you write a report? Okay, with I wouldn't say typical highlights. What has struck you? What has made you think? What has made that difference? So then that will allow me to also internalize and share more with Rekha.
I also feel, Ambika, that, one takeaway message that they would have got in this whole thing
They can write.
is important. And two, if you ever see a person with Down syndrome anytime in your life and you feel there's a challenge that you can't handle, please reach out. You can WhatsApp me. Within 5 minutes, I'll give you a call. We can discuss the person and I can take you through that particular stage. Because what happens is sometimes as an outsider, you might not be able to see it with the same clarity that we do. And I might have had similar experiences with a child who has been through that same bracket, especially, some of the things are very challenging, like behavior. People are getting petrified of a child who cannot be, stable or having no sitting tolerance, which is what they keep talking about, sitting tolerance. I'm here. I'll teach you how to do that and how we can help the child. It's all about the little child and the parents. So I think we need to make their lives very simple and make your life very simple. Come on, girls, you guys are the next generation. We're here.
In fact,
Definitely,
ma'am,
we're all depending on you all. Rekha and me are depending on you, all people like you. So,
Absolutely.
So,
I keep
so
telling
and
all
Brinda
young
has,
moms this.
Brinda has shared your number on the screen. I see that. So, ladies, I think either she's very open. I'm not saying no, but don't bombard her directly. Either go through Brinda or go through Rata. Poor lady, she has other things to do also. Okay.
No,
So,
if it's about a child and you're finding it,
yeah, definitely.
please. I mean, I think that is very crucial. But yes, now this toilet training bit and all, don't come back to me. Okay? Because it's such and that is such a big thing for us. In the villages, they quietly go outside, sit on the road quietly and
Finish it off. Finish it off.
Our people have started exaggerating issues and the study is intense. Toilet training, I mean, 10 classes you take, also the same thing could happen. So when they have to go, they will go. So yes, girls, thank you so much. I love.
So God bless you, Rekha. Heaps of
Thank you,
thanks.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you
Anytime.
so
Thank you,
much,
Purna.
Purna's also
Purna
come
is
out of the class.
really one amazing person. Thank you, Purna, for calling me. Love you. God bless you.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank
Ambika
you, ma'am.
for the
Bye,
greatest
Dakina.
opportunity.
Yeah, bye, Dakina.
Thank you, ma'am.
and I think the session was,